It's the 4th of December, and 2 days ago or so, I attempted to share an upload to describe the life cycle of a hate crime vendetta. Since that upload, I've been trying to establish the mentality of the culprits of what I'm experiencing. Um, from a spiritual perspective, and with regard to the bodily integrity violations that I've been experiencing, that started in 2017. And as I've described in another upload, how as a light worker, we are all aware of when our aura or light body has been interfered with or affected by what they call in the spiritual world vampires. Spiritual vampires, spiritual predators. As a light worker, I wouldn't have thought that my light body would have been so severely damaged, and I wasn't expecting for my bodily integrity to be violated again. From a spiritual perspective, the culprits I'm aware of, the damages done to my body I'm also aware of. What I find baffling is that when it's in the realm of spirituality, and when it comes to spiritual gifts and blessings and light of a light worker, for that source of light that has been stolen to be disrespected and to be exploited by the spiritual vampires or predators, or however you want to describe them, is very serious. The light stolen from my body has caused awful harm for me. My body is suffering from what I think is fibromyalgia, could be rheumatoid arthritis, but my body has been damaged as a consequence of what I've been experiencing, which has involved not just other human rights violations, but my human right to my spiritual faith and religion as a light worker. So that's one perspective of this that I've tried to fathom, the fact that the very source of light that was stolen and violated and exploited by a community has not been respected at all at all. I've mentioned as well about the theft of my creative work and my studies and intellectual work since 2006, and that to be exploited as well. You know, it's pretty unfathomable. That's the only way I can describe, to comprehend the mentality of individuals claiming work that isn't theirs as their own, utilizing spiritual light that they didn't attain. This has been an issue of concern since 2017, but there's 29 human rights violations that I've been experiencing. The other aspect of this spiritual violence is my ancestry, my royal ancestry. My ancestors are both Spanish and Irish. Vernan, O'Higgins, O'Sullivan, Griffin, McElligott. There's O'Connors in there. But for an ancestral assault to also have been perpetrated, and as I've said, to have information altered and doctored and deleted in this vendetta of hate crime and human rights violations, is an issue of concern for me, because as I'm trying to comprehend the mentality of the individuals that would try to violate an innocent woman so severely, just shows how insane society can be. Besides that, there's the issue of misinformation and defamation. For people, as I've said umpteenth times, to be saying what they want about who they want without actually substantiating what they're saying, presenting false information, false evidence, false claims. These are other aspects of this hate crime vendetta that I've also been experiencing. Um, so, for this to be occurring is pretty worrying, and for authorities, as I keep saying, authorities and politicians to be ignoring this situation and to be allowing the intrusion of individuals and professionals into my private livelihood without them having any consultation with me, or without having any reason to be involved with me, or without having any authority doing what they're doing, just shows how serious the violations are. The spiritual violations are one aspect, the defamation, the violations of privacy, the intrusion. Since 2015, since becoming a mother and being married, the intrusion of culprits that aren't just responsible for this incident of assault, but for an incident over 10 years ago as well, to worsen the situation that they were involved in over a decade ago, to involve themselves and intrude and impose themselves in my personal life yet again, and to cause even a worse circumstance on this occasion, just shows how unprofessional some professionals actually are. Um, the other issue about professionals, and I've discussed this already as well before, and this is with regard to the mentality of the culprits in this situation violating my human rights for no reason except because of hatred, jealousy, or greed, is another aspect I want to discuss. For mental health professionals that I've been literally harassed by and unlawfully detained by for no reason at all, is very serious, considering the number of individuals that have died by suicide even in the past year. Um, for people to be intruding and imposing upon a person that's living peacefully, quietly, and happily and contentedly, that's enduring these kind of wrongdoings and violations, is, I wonder, like, what set and standard of ethics are being applied, and what level of professionalism is being employed in this kind of a matter. It's not professional for mental health professionals to be abusing their position. It's not professional for any representative of any authority um, to be just presenting problems that aren't actually substantiated problems, but false problems, really, as such, convoluted problems, um, in an effort to victimize a person. The lies, the falsehoods, the assaults that I've experienced since 2015, really, due to hate crime and due to the, issues of the individuals that are presenting false information, that are defaming my character and reputation, that are disrespecting the light that they have stolen and utilized and exploited from my life body, is another aspect of all of this. So when I think of the mentality, I've tried to describe the life cycle of a hate crime vendetta, but the mentality of individuals to, is it delude themselves into justifying what they're doing as being tolerable or acceptable, or is it deluding themselves with their same stories to believe what they're actually doing is acceptable or tolerable? You know, what kind of a mentality is there to this kind of a situation when the wrongdoings aren't rectified, when there aren't any amends being presented, when there's continuous violations and wrongdoings being done, when there's continuous violations of privacy? Um, I'm very concerned about society when this is happening. Um, the unprofessionalism, especially of adults, not all adults, just obviously the culprits that keep intruding upon my personal livelihood, um, is is very worrying. Since 2003, since 1999, I've been studying, working, and whatnot. Even before then, I've been working since I've been 14. Um, and here I am today, unemployed, with social welfare allowance, deserted wife and mother in HAPS accommodation, suffering from physical ailments that are untreated, that I'm not getting the medical care for, that, you know, it's debilitating, having a physical ailment and experiencing these violations of privacy and this horrendous treatment that, I wouldn't have ever have incurred on anyone, and that there shouldn't be anyone experiencing this kind of a situation. Um, the issue that has been caused with regard to my health is only one aspect, um, but the misinformation um, is another aspect. As I've said, I've been working since I was only 14, even before then. I'm nearly 40 now. I've got my degree and my studies completed. I've worked and I've, volunteered at home and abroad. And people seem to think that since my work and whatnot over a decade ago, that it's only seemingly in the past year or two, or however, since being married, that I've been accomplished. Um, to those people that don't know what they're talking about, I've been quite accomplished for a long time before ever being married. Um, to be unemployed is not a choice. Um, I'd happily be teaching and working and volunteering only for the issues of physical health that I'm experiencing. So, from my perspective, I think it's pretty logical and rational to, be justifiably upset. But to comprehend the mentality of those individuals that are presenting false information and that are culprits in this human rights violation and hate crime vendetta, the mentality is very worrying because as a humanitarian and with regard to peace and, you know, harmony in society, that would be on the top of my agenda, that would be my priority. People that can't live peacefully and honestly and in a dignified manner and respectfully of other people's constitutional rights and whatnot as a citizen of this country. It's worrying, it's baffling that in the modern day and age, the 21st century, especially amongst women, I think that's after showing a very bad, um, it's a very negative effect for womanhood, for women to be disrespecting other women. Um, that's another mentality that's unfathomable, but it's pretty obvious what kind of a mentality would be culpable of causing this kind of human rights violations, etc. But anyway, as I'm saying, as a humanitarian, um, the European Union, progress, development, whatnot, um, peace throughout the world is what's supposed to be a priority. And as far as I'm concerned, the peace in this community has been destroyed because of lies and deceit and falsehoods and wrongdoings that shouldn't have ever been facilitated or tolerated. So, as a victim of those people's violations and lies, misinformation and hate crime, um, I hope they're aware of how long this will be a problem for this community, because it won't be healed overnight, the damage that's been done. So it's unfortunate they didn't think of how this would impact society, because they're, after being such serious assaults of human rights, that I don't know if society will be able to say it's evolved or progressed very much. As for the light that's mine that was violated between 2017 to the present date, I'd appreciate it if those that assaulted my light body respect the source of the light that they stole from my body, and I'd appreciate it also if those violating my privacy and defaming my character would respect my right to privacy in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland.